This show is brought to you by Carnegie Hall. Carnegie Hall presents the program Rhiannon Giddens, Songs of Our Native Daughters. Giddens teams up with kindred banjo players to shine new light on African American women's stories of struggle, resistance, and hope. With unflinching, razor-sharp honesty, they confront frequently sanitized views about America's history of slavery, racism, and misogyny from a powerful Black female perspective. The performance takes place on November 4th, 2022 at 8 p.m. To purchase tickets, visit carnegiehall.org. Carnegie Hall, your seats are waiting. Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Q Points, your favorite podcast for meaningful conversations regarding Black music, Black artistry. Q Points definitely dropping the needle on Black music history. I am Sir Daniel, and I'm joined by...
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Jay Ray, also known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. And we have a special guest who's with us this entire series.
He's not a guest anymore. Let's just cut out the whole guest thing. He's not a guest. He's pretty much the third member, the third Beatle,
absolutely,
of Q Points. I'm talking about none other than Big Mike. How are you, Big Mike?
I am blessed and happy to be back for another episode of this brilliant series that we seem to be going through. I'm excited. I appreciate the love being the third Beatle. It's an honor, and I'm just excited to talk some more country music.
Listen, we're not playing with you guys. Listen, we talked about the foundations, the foundation of Black people, Black history, and country music. And then we also talked about the man himself, the iconic Charlie Pride, of course. And now today, this episode that you're tuned in, we're discussing a wonderful documentary that came across. Literally, let me say this. The universe has just been dropping nuggets in our lap each and every single way on this journey of talking about the history of Black people in country music and the future of Black people in country music. So collectively, we have watched this really dope documentary called For Love and Country. And let's just jump right into it. There's a thing, and Jay Ray knows this, I love documentaries. I love documentaries and I love mockumentaries. And what attracts me the most about documentaries is just the idea that I can be a fly on the wall and experience other people's lives vicariously and get an understanding for whatever the subject is. And For Love and for Country is that type of documentary. I came away with a better understanding, and I'm going to be transparent with you all. I kind of wondered, what is the big deal? What was the big deal about needing the inclusion for Black people in that world, the world of country music? I was like, what's the big deal? Why are people just so pressed about being a part of it? But I get it. I get it now and thanks to Mike, I get it. I get why we need to claim that space, why we need to take up space. And a good documentary can change your mind, and that is exactly what this one did.
Absolutely. Mike, I'm definitely dying to hear your thoughts, but I echo everything that you said about this, Sir Daniel. I think that one, the documentary is beautifully shot. So it's directed by Joshua Kesey, and it puts you in Nashville. So we got a chance when we did, of course, talked about Charlie Pride, to talk about Nashville. And we've been talking about that kind of throughout this series so far. And I really felt like this documentary even situated us physically in Nashville to understand what that experience is like, but also really helps us understand how we got to this point that we're in and why it's important that we reclaim this our place in country, because that's what it really is. And Mike, you've been saying that since the beginning. We are reclaiming something that's for us.
Yeah, I said it in the first episode that we are foundational, and what this documentary does is it presents to the masses why we're foundational, right? It talks about the things and the people of color that look like us, what they've been trying to do, especially this new generation, for sure. Like, and I love that we had the Charlie Pride episode that we saw, that we got, right? And that kind of sets it up. It kind of tees it up for this generation, which is why I love that this episode came after us talking about the success of Charlie Pride and what he kind of set the table for in the future. It's a shame that it took 30 years for us to really establish a scene and for us to establish a space in country music, seeing how we are. And I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face, that we are foundational in country music. And so I love the documentary, and it definitely put some light on other people of color in the space that I wasn't even aware of. Right. You know, we got my boy Jimmy Allen. He's of course, you know, holding that banner, raising that flag really high. Like I told my wife, I was like, all I see is Jimmy now. He's everywhere.
Like literally everywhere. Social media popping. He's got him, and I think his son with him. He's everywhere now.
He's everywhere. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate that I got to know him very early in his career. So it's always a point of pride when I see him on these bigger national stages, holding that banner for country music and doing and innovating in that space and saying, hey, we're here. And what this documentary does is it takes the success of people like Jimmy Allen, right? And the success of a guy like Darius Rucker or Mickey Guyton, and then fills in all those other spaces, right? Like we have an Amethyst Kia who was ridiculed for her playing the banjo, right? And we've talked about this. The banjo is also a foundational instrument that we brought to the table. And that effect.
Listen, I'm about to stop calling it the banjo, and I'm going to start calling it the banjo.
Banjo.
I'm going to give it a little banjo, give it a little, a little motherland flair to it. Because listen, you're absolutely right, Mike. Watching it, seeing Rhiannon Giddens, and seeing them talk about the banjo and how it grabbed them, and as women coming together to play those things. But before we get ahead, I wanted to bring this up. J. Ray, you brought up the fact that Nashville is definitely the other star,
absolutely,
the star of this movie, the city itself. And I just wanted to check in with you too. Have both of you had an opportunity to actually go to Nashville and to experience Broadway? Because I have not. And I always wondered there's several cities that are synonymous with music. And I wonder what it is specifically about these cities that are able to create this area of music and have these cities become very popular for music. And I just wonder what that formula is. But yes, tell me about your experiences there in Nashville, and what did it feel like to you when you were there? Can you feel the music? I know that sounds really trippy and heady, but hey, that's what we do here on Key Points.
I've never been. It's always been a bucket list place to go. When I was driving to California, we actually rode through Nashville, and it's a beautiful city. And I hope to get a chance to really get myself immersed in Nashville one day, because I mean that really is if you want to be a country star, you really have to go to that city and really put yourself in there. Which is a shame that you have to go to that city to do that, right?
Right.
To really immerse yourself in that scene. But it is a beautiful city, and I hope to get there one day. I'm not sure what the appeal is with that particular place. I'm assuming, and I think I've heard somewhere, don't quote me on this one, but that someone named it Music City, and it just became it, and everything else followed through with that situation. But I do enjoy the documentary because it doesn't just talk to country artists. It talks to the people who actually live there. I think there was a former mayor that was interviewed for that documentary, and he's just talking about the rich history and the people of color that are there, and that they feel like they were there first, kind of type of deal, right? They have the sense of ownership of Nashville, and that we get all of these black artists coming in, and we get these white artists coming in, and the white artists quickly make themselves comfortable, right? This is our city. This is Nashville. This is us. And then it makes the people of color feel less welcome. And so it's a shame that one city determines your future in country music. I don't think it should be that way, but it's just how the system works at this point in time.
Yeah, I do want to talk about that. But pause. I want to go back to Sir Daniel's original question. Yes, I have been to Nashville many times, actually. I have never been over to Broadway specifically, where all the clubs. So watching the documentary brought this up. I have been to Opry Mills and the Grand Ole Opry area of Nashville. They didn't have a show, but we were able to kind of go in there, and I took like a mini, like, oh my God, like this place is like beautiful and big and gorgeous, and like it's very grand, right? Now I go back with a whole new lens, knowing what I know now about the history of the name Grand Ole Opry. So, but what I found interesting about Nashville is when I was there, I had the Black experience in Nashville. So like, I think it was Mike Floss that was driving through Nashville and like talking. So I had like the Black Nashville experience, which at least from my outside view, was very separate from the music experience that you see in Nashville. And that didn't dawn on me until I watched the documentary. So yes, I have been, but I have never done the music part of it. I just did kind of the hanging out in Nashville, and I did all the Black stuff in Nashville, and it felt, I don't know what that part feels like. So I'm dying to go back and experience the music part, because I would imagine it feels like a totally different city.
Yeah. And I think it's funny. So, Mike, just so that you know, we're in the presence of one of the most traveled and well-learned members of the Q Points team, because not only has J. Ray been to Nashville, J. Ray is super close to Philadelphia. Of course, he's been to New York, Atlanta. Like J. Ray has touched all the major music cities in the United States. True.
Detroit.
So Detroit. Did I mention Detroit, right? Did I mention? Yeah, Detroit. You spent time in Detroit also. So it's like we need to start hanging out with J. Ray more.
Absolutely.
Apparently. And let him take us on tours of these music cities.
Oh, quick thing. One of my favorite bars in the world is in Nashville. I went to one of the best bars I'd ever been to anywhere in the world, in Nashville, Tennessee. I wonder if that bar is still open. I gotta figure it out. But it was a little low-key speakeasy sort of thing. Okay. And if it's still low, yes, it was absolutely beautiful. So in Nashville, Tennessee. So Nashville, it got some stuff with it. We need to all go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and we're going to go over to Nashville and hang out.
I love it.
Well, clearly we're going to go on tour.
Right.
With
Exactly.
regards to this. Clearly we're going to go on tour because of this series. And but yes, the whole like I said, documentaries, especially documentaries that feature a major city, always have a special place in my heart and always pull me in. And what I was also struck about this about this documentary, this film, was the unabashed, this like this lack of fear on this new generation to present their whole selves, because we had several characters that we were introduced in this film that are of queer experience. Everybody's Black, but then you put on top of that are queer, which is literally unheard of, because if we're going to keep it a buck, country music doesn't present as the most inclusive when it comes to people of different sexual expressions. So I was very struck with that.
Agreed. This younger, I mean, in general, I think there's the whole younger generation is just different. But also I think, and I'm wondering how much the internet plays in their ability to feel like, hey, we can just do this. There's nothing stopping us. We could just do this, and talk about this experience in a way that was just like, nobody can do that but us.
I think the internet played a huge part, because no one can control whatever narrative comes out of Nashville anymore. I think this generation realizes that we don't need the establishment to put our music out. We don't need the nod or the rub, right, for us to be involved in this space. And I think that has become really huge. And not only do we not need your permission, we're going to put the music out that we want to put out, and we're going to just invade the space. Black Myself, which she sang in the documentary, is probably one of my favorite songs these days, because it literally, no one else, like, people of color are the only people that can sing that story, right? She's essentially singing all of these things. And one of my favorite lines from that song is, when they stopped sending their work horses, they made their own anyway. Right? Like, and I'm like, just let that sit on you for a little bit. Yeah. When the British, when England stopped sending work horses, what they decided was they were going to make their own anyway.
Yeah.
Right. The paper, she said, I couldn't pass the paper bag test because I'm Black myself. Right. Like, just telling those stories and being able to sing those stories, there's nobody else can do it. Not certainly our white counterparts can't sing that stuff. Right.
Oh, you know what? So yes. And here's what's interesting. And we talked about this in that very first episode. There is such an opportunity for the core country listeners. And we know, because they talked about it in the documentary, how country has remained white because it aligned itself with conservative whiteness very deliberately. Ronald Reagan, it all comes back to Reagan, of course. Right. But aligned itself, right, to be able to maintain this view of what country is. But if we really want to shake it up and really want to make some change, country is a vehicle for unity. And I think for us to start understanding each other better. You get to hear truth. Right? Mickey Guyton, who is fascinating to me, who said, like, listen, I have been through the machine already. It works if you are a tall white man.
White man. Yep.
That's who it works for. Yep. And how Mickey had to kind of undo herself. She had to untether herself from that and be her full self in order to break through.
the fact that I'm sure that all the handlers, they probably didn't have anybody that looked like her doing her hair and dressing her, the whole styling behind it, probably trying to keep her from looking like Destiny's Child because they didn't want her to blend in with any R&B artists or whatever. They wanted her to look country because there's a stereotype, like she said, of what country is supposed to look like. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, and maybe it's just me nitpicking and seeing stuff or hearing stuff where I'm hearing it. But I noticed the language gradually from the beginning of the film towards the end. People were kind of tiptoeing around calling a thing a thing. We're tiptoeing around it saying things like, oh, well, the establishment, the traditional. Then finally Mickey Guyton was like, oh no, well, if you don't look like a tall white man, then this game ain't for you. And towards the end, people were like, I'm calling a thing a thing. And it's like, we have to say it out loud. It's like, you all don't want us here because you're trying to keep it white, basically, because of what you think that represents for this country, and trying to uphold a standard and a way of life and an ideology that a lot of people are still holding on to, as we witnessed on January 6th. But that's neither here nor there.
But I mean, what you're hitting on is exactly why Amethyst song is important, and songs like American Dream by Willie Jones is really important because it explains what we are going through, right? It explains those things, right? Willie Jones is talking about the American flag in his song, and he's saying he's an American, but he's got to keep an eye on the flag, right? Yeah, and then he's saying, white man, can you get it right, man? Like these type of things, like these are the stories that can be told, and I think that is why I think traditional Nashville is a little worried, right? Because they're like, okay, now these kids are coming in and they're calling us on our stuff, right? We can no longer just hide behind that country music is a white thing, and we can't hide behind that it is a conservative thing, because it's not, right? And so I think it's very important. And to your point, Sir Daniel, when you were talking about no one being around Mickey Guyton who understood Black people, it's one of the reasons why I started down this path. It's because of that premise, right? You're in country music and you're not surrounded by the people who know you, who understand your struggle. And I wanted to be a person that a guy like Darius Rucker walked in, Jimmy Allen walked in, Willie Jones, all of these people, right? Mickey Guyton, Raina Roberts. I want them to go, oh, I'm being interviewed by this guy, right? Yes. He understands my struggle, right? Like, and that's really the catalyst of why I started down that. So when you said that, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. And Mickey Guyton said it. That's exactly where this whole thing started at that point. And so I appreciate that this generation is starting to really just push those boundaries and go, we're here. You're not going to get rid of us. We're not going anywhere. And we're going to tell the stories and sing the songs that relate to us and my people.
J-Ray, do you feel like, I feel like the universe is calling another summer of soul to happen in Nashville.
Baby.
Like a revolutionary kind of concert with all of the kids, all of these table shakers right now.
Wow.
And they just go in, they stand flat-footed in the middle of Nashville somewhere, and they just put on a show like no other, featuring every single Black artist to come through, and that be the next summer of soul with a country twist. What do y'all think about that?
I love that idea. And what's great about it, I know we keep talking about Jimmy Allen. I'm sorry, I got excited. Jimmy Allen has his own festival called Betty James Fest that happens in Delaware. It's not even in Nashville. It happens in
Delaware. Like I'm down the road from there. That's down the road from me.
In his hometown in Delaware, he puts on a concert every year. And this is the second year I think he's done it. The first year it was like downpouring, but it's called the Betty James. It's named after his grandmother and his father. And it's called the Betty James Fest. and he does it every year. And I think that's what you're talking about. Now we're starting to put on our own festivals, and so we can spotlight some of these other artists. And I think Jimmy Allen is already on that path to doing those type of things.
That's exciting. That is super. I think, Sir Daniel, exactly what you said is exciting. I did not know that, Big Mike. That is also exciting. And the fact that it's right down the road. Jimmy, call us up.
You gotta go.
Call us. We are happy to come down to the Betty James.
We will do a show down there.
Point blank, period.
Live.
Period. So there's that. But I do want to talk about one of the things I also enjoyed about the film. Well, there's two things. One, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, the love that the Black women were showing to one another. So when Allison Russell called out the fact that when she saw Rhiannon Giddens like playing that banjo, how inspirational that was for her, right? To say, oh, shoot, I see I can do this too, right? And so reminding ourselves why representation, because people will always say, well, why, going back to your statement earlier, Sir Daniel, why is it important that we take up space here? Because one, it's ours, but two, seeing ourselves gives people vision. Like you can see, like, I know that I want to do music. But what kind of music do I want? Oh, I want to do this. I want to pick up a banjo and do what Rhiannon Giddens is doing, right? So there's that. I wanted to hold that up. But two, Frankie Staten, my goodness.
Oh, who I can't believe is not related to Candy Stain. But anyway, go ahead.
It would make total sense because I'm like, these voices is giving.
I looked it up, but they're not.
Oh, we need to. Oh my God, that's crazy. But that idea of, I play the piano and I write songs and I sing, and I want to sing this music. So I'm going to go to Nashville and I'm going to go to where the people say to go to sing for the people in Nashville, because that's what I'm here to do. And they did not want to put that Black woman on that stage. But when they did, they realized the error of their ways. But that whole idea of her having to stay, that idea that sometimes we have to stay even when we don't want to, because that's just what we have to do. But my goodness, what a talent. And and the fact that she had to go through that was a lot.
In that documentary, she's one of the people that when she arrived in Nashville, they told her to go see Charlie Pride. Like they were like, oh, you want to sing country music? You're Black? Go see Charlie Pride. That wasn't Charlie's responsibility, right? Like he's trying to run his own career, and I get it. I understand. He's the guy that cracked the code. Go see the guy that cracked the code. But I think they were just shuffling her there because they didn't want to either deal with her or know what to do with her. So it's her story is incredible.
I absolutely think everything you said, all those things can be true at the same time, right? And J. Ray, you said something about representation. Can you imagine Mickey Guyton told that story about when she first saw LeAnn Rimes? Yeah. Can you imagine if young Mickey Guyton saw a young Mickey Guyton on stage instead of LeAnn Rimes?
Can you imagine the power of that? And I can't even, that's why this is so critical. And that's why I think that more of us, more Black folk in America need to hear country music, need to hear these artists that we are talking about, because I guarantee there is somebody on my block here in Chester, PA, that you'll drop a song by any one of those artists that will be like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Thinking about an artist like Shy Carter, who picked up that banjo and in that film just started singing and playing. some of the most beautiful melodies, that is universal. Just like Breland said, the writing that he was doing in R&B in Atlanta, there's the same writing that he's doing in Nashville in country. There's not anything separating that. It's the same music, just performed differently.
Yeah. It's it's just the difference of a steel guitar, and so like it's just that minute of the difference.
As we're sitting here talking, I think about the significance of what you're doing, Mike, and I think about a Courtney B, right? I think about Detroit had Berry Gordy. You know, for all intents and purposes, New York has or had Diddy. You know, we need figures. Not hidden figures. We need guys like Mike up front to be that, not necessarily a gatekeeper where the establishment pushes all the black people on him, but we want the establishment coming to a Mike or coming to Mike with all of their coming to him like, okay, who do we need? Who's the next? And I think that's why it's so important that your voice is in the booth at the radio station, because I think about, you know, artists that are coming through there, back to that story about it being such a lonely road. And I know a lot of times when artists come through to different towns, sometimes radio stations are the only place that they get some like human connection. And imagine being a black person, and this almost, I guess, like the Chitlin circuit back in the day. You know, you're kind of relegated to only certain things, but they're in this space, you're relegated to these spaces where you're not represented wholly or completely. And so when you see someone like Mike, it makes all the difference. So how do we encourage? I know the easier thing is I want to be in hip hop. I want to be in R&B. So how do we encourage these up and comers? Like, hey, listen, I know this looks cool over here. Rap is cool and all that. But country?
Get up in this country game,
that's
bro.
Where you need to get up in that country bag.
Yeah.
Ma'am or sir or ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mike, what can we do, like, as a people? Like, how do we encourage more big mics to come into the game?
I think shows like Q Points is important for sure. Like, I think exposing the more people to country music and the artists behind the country music, especially African Americans, and showing that we do have a right to be here, right? Like, and having shows like that and getting more black country jocks to go more African American music forward, more African American country music forward, right? And not always just playing white artists, playing some black artists too, having a mandate where we're going to play more black artists and we're going to break more black country artists. I think that is really what I think can be really helpful to us really establishing ourselves for a long period of time in this genre. And I think that will be helpful. And just, I talk to anybody about country. I tell people I was on country radio, and it to the point now where it's not going to become a shock. It's just going to be normal at that point. And I really think like Q Points, and I think us really talking to other people, maybe talking to a radio station and saying, hey, what is it going to take for us to push more, right? And I'd really love to eventually maybe develop a radio station that is black country music forward, right? I don't think there's anything like that out there. And so I really think it's going to take a lot of patience. I think it's going to take a lot of like will. Like, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, Jon Stewart, of course, right? And the way his ring works is the power of will. That's how he manifests things. They call them constructs. And it's just the power of will. And so he's like my favorite superhero. And so everything that I do, the word for me lately has been manifesting what I want, manifesting it, speaking it into existence. And so I think us as a people, if you love country music, then you should start talking about country music to anybody that's going to listen, right? and you have to start manifesting ways to get into the space, and then going, guys, there's some Black artists out here that you guys should totally, like, it's really about just speaking and really trying to will it and manifest it into that, because there's a lot of work to be done. And people like Jimmy Allen and Raina Roberts and Brittany Spencer and Mickey Guyton, they are the start, and we just have to make sure that we're supporting them, right? And making sure that when they need the support and they need the backup, we just don't abandon them. And I think that, to me, is important. And so that's what I really think is the path to us becoming more established and being here and being in this genre and not being pushed out of this genre in the long run, in the future. Is just, we just gonna have to start creating those spaces for those artists to be, right? And then we can go from there. So I mean, it's not a simple, it sounds really simple, it sounds overly simple right now, but it's not. It's going to take a lot of work, it's going to take a lot of willpower, it's going to take a lot of people manifesting what they want from this genre and demanding that we be in this space, not asking, demanding.
Yeah, and A+ to all of that, everything that you just said. The fact that because of the way that racism worked and the way race music and kind of country music were kind of separated into these very distinct, Black people, you do this over here, and white folks, we do this over here, and us being made to feel like the banjo is bad, the fiddle is bad, so therefore I'm not going to play a banjo and a fiddle. I'm going to play the guitar and play jazz, because I don't want to be associated with that, because, then we have minstrel shows and all of these other things that came with the idea of banjos and fiddles. So Black folks is like, okay, we're just not going to affiliate with that anymore, because I don't want to be country. I don't want to be country. And think about how often in the North, when I think about me growing up as a kid, how being country was something to be made fun of. Nobody. So the folks with an accent, the folks that were from, a little too far south, got made fun of, right, by Black folks. These are Black folks making fun of Black folks. So we have to not only demand being in that space, but also as individuals and within our circles, undo all of this harm that's been done by old white supremacy to tell us that countries, banjos, fiddles, all of that are stuff that lesser people do. But meanwhile, they've been making millions doing it. Millions.
J-Ray, you just spoke a word, because when I didn't even think about that aspect, that shame that is embedded in us for even regional shame. Like, you're absolutely right of how there is, and we how there is this, when we see a lot of people up north, they talk, oh, you sound country. You're absolutely right. When most of the people like all the Black people in New York came from North Carolina, all the Black people in Chicago came from Mississippi. There was a great migration. It's in the history books, y'all. And so you're absolutely right. That is something that we have to let go of, the shame, and to claim our birthright. And this is the hallmark of a good documentary, because imagine if we had never watched this, or that the director hadn't even created this, we would still be holding on to that and be disconnected from something so great that is a part of us already.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. To me, like, that's hard for me to even to conceptualize at this point, of just how much country music is done for me as an individual, for me not to, this documentary not to even exist. That scared, it's a scary thought. And the fact that these artists that are starting to come out and wave this flag, I don't I don't even know where I would be. Like it's just kind of it's a weird thought to think about that. People like Jimmy Allen and Willie Jones and all these people that we're speaking about just kind of fall to the wayside. Like I don't even know what kind of that, where would I be at that point? So it's a thought. It's a thought. And so I don't want it to go away. And I want other people to discover this music. And so you're absolutely right, J. Ray. Like we have to change the idea of that and of country and being called country as a negative. We have to try to change that narrative when it comes to country. I never even thought about it that way. When you call someone country, it's being used as a negative connotation. Meanwhile, you're right. Our counterparts, they're like, I'm a country boy, I'm a redneck. They're claiming all of these titles.
Reba McEntire and all of these folks that have millions.
Yeah.
Leaning into the fullness of who they are. Like never, I was listening to Fresh Air and they were replaying an interview from Loretta Lynn, rest in peace to Miss Loretta Lynn. And Loretta Lynn, millions singing this music and would be representative of what someone might call quote unquote country, right? Career, whole ass career, you know? So it's okay. For us to be who we are.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things is we really have to stop doing it to ourselves. I think that's the other thing, is that sometimes I think we hold each other back because as a collective, we're stuck in this idea that Black people don't belong in country music. What Black person listens to country music, right? Like, and we really have to stop. We really have to try to change that narrative as well, because we will turn on each other. They got us turning on each other. I heard this line from Jay-Z. He's talking about this crab in a barrel mentality. Why are we trying to, and that's, again, it goes back to this thing in my brain that I'm like, there's this little boy in the hood or the ghetto somewhere, right? Who's wearing wearing these cowboy boots, wearing a cowboy hat, listening to somebody country. For me, it was Alan Jackson and Garth Brooks and going, who are the people that look like me doing this music, and why do I feel like I'm an outsider? And I'm going to say, you're not an outsider. There are people like us, and we just have to be open to that situation. And I think this documentary also helped that as well. And going, oh, these people love country too. I'm not a pariah. I'm not a weirdo. Like these are important things. And so I think we have to start changing that mentality inside our own community.
Wow. Yeah, for loving country.
Well, that little boy has Big Mike to look at us.
That's right.
Also.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Oh, one more thing though, to that point, right? Mickey Guyton talked about this. Because even I'm thinking about, like, let me just speak for me. I'm going to use an I statement. Passive listener to country. I've talked about this, right? Passive listener to country music, now active. Thank you, Big Mike.
Love it.
You should see the stuff that shuffles up on my YouTube music now. It's crazy.
Makes me so happy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Some of this, I've been starring stuff left and right, Sir Daniel. So I could do a playlist now. But point is, Mickey Guyton talked about the fact that, you gotta know your stuff, because people will think like you're not traditional country, or you're not traditional wasn't the word that she used, but the idea that there's this purity that exists that has been maintained, and I think for a reason, to keep people out of it, right? This purity that you have to uphold. You have to know the artist. You have to know the things, because if you don't know this stuff, you're not country, and you can't be here. We gotta we have to say, you can't tell me when we are part of this history that I can't be here.
Check your history. It's what I said in the first episode. Check your history.
You did?
If you say that we can't be here, check your history. because we're here, and I'm gonna say it again, we're foundational. You can't deny that.
So tell me what artists you want me to know about, and then I will learn about them. But don't try and kick folks out, because I do think country is one of those. Jazz has this a little bit, but jazz is a little easier. Jazz does have it a little, but I also think that has been developed over time from the same thing that happened in country. I think it all comes from the same place, right? Where there are these quote unquote purists who are trying to maintain control over it. And I just want folks to understand, like J. Ray, you ain't got to know all the country in the world. You ain't got to know the whole history of nothing. But you can listen, and you can talk about the fact that you listen, and you can't be pushed out. Because that's the sense I often get. And that's what Mickey was kind of getting to. Like, ooh, when you go in for these interviews, like, you got to be country. It's like, what the hell does that mean?
What does that mean? Do I have to come in looking like mini Pearl or something? Like,
oh, that's funny. But, and what it means is talk our talk, say all the buzzwords that we want you to say, and then you know what? You pass the test. And I think that's crap. Like, why do I have to pass the test?
Oh God, I'm just. I was gonna make a Candace Owens reference.
No, Candace Owens. Just, I'm tired of it all. I'm tired.
It's like that's what you're expecting people to show up like? Do you want us, in full Kanye regalia, like with the White Lives Matter shirt on? Like, what do you want?
I'm surprised you guys don't have a show already in the chamber, like with this one on that one, man. Like.
We're tired.
I get it.
We're tired of it.
I get it.
He's that person that we are slightly referenced. We're very exhausted with that person. There's just no more energy for that person. Matter of fact, I would like to shift all the energy from that person onto a Mike Floss, onto a Mickey Guyton, onto a Frankie Staten, onto the Chocolate Drops, and the list goes on and on. Shy Carter. Let's take that energy and move it from here over there.
I'm with it.
Yeah. And that kind of energy is what I'm talking about us as a community. It's that type of energy that keeps each other from discovering other music and learning about other music and understanding that we have a place in that music, because we're too focused on gatekeeping ourselves in this weird way, right? Like, are you black enough? You're not black enough, right? You're too black for this, but you gotta be black enough to do like, do you understand? Like, we're gatekeeping ourselves at this point, like, which is
it's exhausting. What I think
it is. It 100%.
And all we want to do is kick back and listen to some music.
Just kick back.
That's it.
And listen to some music. And we definitely encourage, everybody needs to watch For Love and Country. Like, if you are into really good music documentaries, this is it. It's squarely well done. We didn't even scratch the surface in terms of all of the artists that were covered in this film, but as foundational as we are to country music, this particular documentary solidifies why we are foundational in it. It covers a good bit of history and all the newness that we need to hear. So, yeah, For Love and Country, y'all, on Amazon Prime. Go and rent it or buy it or whatever.
I think it's up there with like I said, I love a good music documentary. I'm thinking about The Truth or Dares, the last Tina Turner documentary that was done recently. This is right up there with it, y'all. Like, take a peek, and it will give you more of it will give you more of an understanding about the rest of this whole series that's coming up, because in the next episode,
Get ready, y'all.
Yes, we talking about the sisters.
We talk about the sisters
We-
doing
Yeah.
some country.
We touched on it. We touched on it, but there are, a man. I'm the self-proclaimed female MC historian, so I can only imagine the kinds of what the ladies in country music, the sisters in country music, have gone through, and so it's worth exploring. And I think it's worth you keeping in tune with this this music series with that Q Points is bringing to you. And I just think it's super dope. Again, I'm so happy that Big Mike is helping to navigate these waters for us and take us on this journey. And before we wrap up, does anybody have anything else they would like to tell to the people?
I just want to say, go watch this documentary.
Yeah.
It's really important. Don't ignore it. And I would also say, do what I did, is have your phone, and every time an artist comes on the screen, just add them. Just add them to your queue, and go and play stuff and listen to this music. And I guarantee, because it happened to me, I was like, oh shoot, I ain't never heard this before. This is hot. It'll happen, and you'll be happy that you did.
For love and country, that has been the topic of discussion on this episode of Q Points. I am Sir Daniel.
I am Jay Ray.
And I'm Big Mike.
Big Mike. This has been Q Points, and what do I always say? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or let the record play. This is Q Points, dropping the needle on Black music history. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.